Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News. UMNO and DAP lawmakers continue to lock horns in Dewan Rakyat. Yesterday we had a shouting match between Tajuddin and Rayer. The speaker suspended Tajuddin, so if you're expecting Parliament to be quieter, think again. Arau MP Shahidan Kassim got under the skin of DAP lawmakers today by accusing the party of being a communist supporter. Shahidan said this after Jelutong MP RSN Rayer refused to retract a statement he made yesterday that BN had insulted Hindu devotees.
Okeylah, saya betul ansur dan saya mengatakan bahawa DAP adalah penyokong komunis. Terima kasih.
Aduh Speaker, Speaker, ini keterlaluan. Kita tidak mengungkitkan perkara ini, tetapi
yang Mohamad Arau,
yang cuba mengapi-apikan, mohon dia minta maaf dan tarik balik.
Speaker Mohamad Ariff Yusof was quick to keep the situation under control by giving a warning to Shahidan.
Ya, Mohamad Arau tak perlulah ya. Tak perlu pada hari yang kedua terakhir untuk menimbulkan perkara-perkara begini. Saya sudah betul ansur, saya sudah bersabar. Kalau sekali lagi menuduh parti DAP, parti komunis tanpa asas, ini merupakan perkara yang serius dan saya akan gunakan kuasa speaker. Sila duduk.
They say any publicity is good publicity. Najib Abdul Razak highlighted a DAP job ad on his Facebook page, criticizing it as an attempt to employ more cyber troopers. But it just ended up reaching more people. DAP National Publicity Secretary Tony Puat thanked the former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak for highlighting the party's ad in search of social media writers.
Saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Datuk Seri Najib Razak kerana memberikan promosi kepada iklan yang kita telah terbitkan di Job Street dan jumlah permohonan kepada DAP telah pun meningkat sekurang-kurangnya 4 kali ganda dalam satu hari sahaja.
Najib claimed that the ad was looking to recruit cyber troopers by paying them up to 5,000 ringgit per month to spread fake news, and speculated that at least 100 people would be recruited. However, Tony Puat rubbished Najib's claim.
Malangnya DAP tak mampu nak rekrut 100 orang cyber trooper. Kita hanya dalam mimpi kita boleh rekrut 100 orang cyber trooper. Jumlah jawatan yang kita ingin ambil ialah hanya lebih kurang 3 sehingga 5 orang sahaja.
Tony said successful applicants will be paid between 2,500 ringgit to 5,000 ringgit depending on their writing experience, and will be tasked with fighting fake news on social media. Those with intentions of splitting PKR may end up facing the wrath of Anwar Ibrahim. He told delegates at the Perak PKR convention yesterday, enough is enough. PKR President Anwar Ibrahim has a message for his detractors who may want to split and weaken the party. He's out of patience and he's ready to strike.
Dan saya amat mudah memaafkan. Terajang pun maaf. Masuk penjara keluar maaf. Tapi cukup.
Anwar added that as long as he is the party president, his responsibility is to build the party's strength and respect the voices of the grassroots. However, he did not elaborate on what action he would take on those who attempt to split and weaken the party. The dispute surrounding the PKR National Congress caused the rift among members to deepen after the party deputy president Azmin Ali was not invited to officiate the Youth Congress this year. Speculation has been rife that a separate congress will be held parallel to the National Congress. However, both Anwar and Secretary General Saifuddin Nasution have dismissed this claim. Everyone should stand up against racism, but what happens when you do and you're suspended for it? One lawmaker said that's the price he's willing to pay. Kota Melaka MP Khoo Poi Thiong said his 2-day suspension from Parliament yesterday was the price he had to pay for defending the House order and for standing up against alleged racism. Khoo was among 2 lawmakers ejected by Dewan Rakyat Speaker Mohamad Ariff Yusof yesterday.
Ini sudah keterlaluan ya.
Tan Sri.
Kota Melaka pasal salah, saya arahkan keluar.
Tan Sri.
Kota Melaka pasal salah, sila keluar.
What do you want?
Satu hari. Bentara.
Hello dia keluar.
Khoo's suspension came after he stood up to defend Jelutong MP RSN Rayer from comments made by BN MP Tajuddin Abdul Rahman.
duduk.
Saya nak tumpang tanya.
Kita mau
tu Abu Cimping apa?
semua duduk. Kita mau anak-anak kita belajar perkara-perkara yang baik. Belajar daripada pemimpin-pemimpin yang baik.
Saya lagi dalam mahkamah. Apa pasal? Ingat kamu hakim ke Jelutong? Saya tak mau Jelutong dituduh pakai Abu Cimping kedai itu.
Ku maintained that Mohamad Ariff had set a negative precedent by failing to take action against Tajuddin over the latest remarks and merely accepting the Pasisala MP's retraction. If you want to be an e-hailing driver but fail to pass your PSV e-hailing license test, Minister Anthony Loke could make things easier for you. The government will look into assisting individuals who fail to pass their Public Services Vehicle PSV e-hailing licensing test after 3 attempts by introducing oral examinations. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said this was for cases where the individuals could have faced difficulties in comprehending the written questions. The minister earlier revealed that as of December 2nd, there were over 91,000 licensed e-hailing drivers, while over 42,000 applicants failed their PSV test. In total, there are currently over 350,000 PSV license holders, including conventional taxi drivers and public bus drivers. Loke also clarified that the government's plan to allow operations of motorcycle e-hailing services will not involve the enactment of a new law. Instead, he said any formal decision to formally allow the service, currently under a trial period, will require amendments to existing laws, including the Road Transport Act. Washington had suggested to host the APEC summit in the US next year, following the cancellation of the summit that was to be held in Chile this month. However, it wasn't an idea Putrajaya agreed with. Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad believes that it is unnecessary to hold an impromptu Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC summit in the US next month.
Well, I think it was not necessary in the first place. Chile has actually done a good deal of work in their preparation, and nobody else can do 1 year's work like Chile. And if you have just a meeting called, impromptu meeting called, so that is where we decided that it was not necessary.
Mahathir spoke to the media after launching the APEC 2020 summit, which will take place in Malaysia. US President Donald Trump previously mooted the meet following the cancellation of the original November 2019 summit in Santiago, Chile. Dr. Mahathir added that almost everyone in APEC had turned down the US invitation to meet in January 2020. The 21 APEC members are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Peru, the Philippines, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, the US, and Vietnam. This is Malaysia's second time hosting the summit. Coming up next, Google has a change of leadership. The US-China trade war isn't likely to end anytime soon. The Climate Change Summit in Madrid is about to receive a special guest. All that and more after this. Massive news from the tech world. The two men who transformed Google from a Silicon Valley startup to one of the most powerful companies in the world are stepping down, but they already have a replacement. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who co-founded Google 21 years ago, have announced that they're leaving their respective roles as CEO and president of parent company Alphabet, effective immediately. Replacing Page as Alphabet CEO is Sundar Pichai, the current chief executive of Google, who will retain that title. Pichai's expanded duties as head of Alphabet include overseeing self-driving car technology company Waymo, healthcare software firm Verily, and several other businesses. Brin's role as president of Alphabet will not be filled, the company said. Brin and Page explained in a blog post that it's the natural time to simplify the management structure. The two, who had once been regular sights in public events and at Google headquarters, had retreated into the background recently. The two said they will remain actively involved as board members. It's been 17 months into the US-China trade war, but some say a proper deal is more important than timing. It is more important to get a proper trade agreement with China than to get the deal done soon. This is according to US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross.
He said there's a possibility that it may not close until after. I think the point he was trying to make is we need a proper deal. And whether it comes this December or it's next December or some other date is much less important than getting a proper deal.
Ross told Reuters in an interview that the world's two largest economies still needed to work out details about China's purchases of farm products, some structural issues, and enforcement mechanisms to complete an interim trade agreement. Trump, speaking in Europe on Tuesday, said an interim trade deal with China could slip until after the US presidential election in November 2020, denting hopes for a quick end to a 17-month trade war that is weighing on global growth. Ross said he expected Trump to win the 2020 presidential election, but if Trump lost and no deal had been reached with China, the issue would be, quote, somebody else's problem. Ross also took aim at Huawei, saying the Chinese company that was blacklisted by the US government in May had been encouraging its suppliers to violate US law by telling them to move operations offshore in a bid to avoid US sanctions. The UN Climate Change Conference is taking place in Madrid, and perhaps you're asking, where is teen activist Greta Thunberg? Well, she's on her way. Teen activist Greta Thunberg reached Europe on Tuesday after a 21-day catamaran dash across the Atlantic for a United Nations summit where she will invoke the fury of the global youth at politicians foot-dragging over climate change. Thunberg was due to spend the rest of Tuesday meeting activists in Portugal before departing for Madrid, where the negotiations are being held in a series of hangar-like halls. The prospect of another fiery intervention by the 16-year-old, whose ability to stare down politicians has inspired a global protest movement, electrified younger delegates at the international climate talks underway in Spain. Increasingly erratic weather patterns, from wildfires in Australia and California to floods in Europe, have added to the sense of urgency around the two-week summit in Spain. Delegates at the talk aim to finalize groundwork to support the Paris Pact to curb the rise of global temperatures, which enters a crucial implementation phase in 2020. Last year, greenhouse gas emissions hit a record high. Existing commitments fall short of the kind of radical action to transform energy, transport, heating and agriculture systems that scientists say is needed to steer the world off its current course towards disastrous levels of warming. Here are other news highlights from today. That is all from us today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching. But before we go, we leave you with some heartbreaking visuals of how microplastic pollution is destroying the fishing industry in Indonesia.
Wah, tunggu Ran. Kemarin ada yang dapat banyak loh. Oh iya, kita harus dapat lebih lagi ya. Kemarin enggak sebelah itu? Ya. Hey!